Southport, all I can say to you right now is I know a hell of a lot more than the British public know. A hell of a lot more. I've been completely silenced. I dared, the day after Southport, to do a video to say, can we please know who this man is? Was he known to the authorities? Why do I feel we're not being told the truth? The level of demonisation I came under for that from both front benches was astonishing, from media commentators. Demonisation on a level that I'd never even experienced. Now I'm told by the Speaker of the House of Commons, I can't ask questions about it in the House of Commons. Parliamentary privilege is out of the window. Even rumours today that the court case, which is due in January, every effort is being made to defer it. Right? Yeah, this is what's going on. We are witnessing one of the biggest cover-ups we've ever seen in our lives. And I won't say any more than that. I genuinely would never wish to be in contempt of court. I have respect for our legal system. It's not perfect, but it's a damn sight better than most of the rest of the world.
So you just heard Nigel Farage there, of the leader of the Reform Party, explaining about there's a massive Southport Stabber cover-up here. Now let's just take this into perspective, what happened. This was the biggest Islamist terrorist attack in the UK since Ariana Grande concert bomb in Manchester. In fact, I would say this is worse, because this was a guy who went in, the Southport Stabber, stabbed 11 people, 11 kids, including the teacher, killed 3 children, killed only exclusively children, killed 3 children, and this was immediately hushed up. Immediately, the person's identity was covered up. No one was allowed to know. Everything was slow walked and slow released. And when people who knew what had happened had enough and started basically saying this is Islamist violence, we don't want these Islamists into our country anymore. When this started happening, there were riots. And immediately the government, the Labour government under Starmer, who's really under the thumb of Lord Ali, a Muslim, and is basically relies on the Muslim vote, and is basically an Islamic party of Great Britain in terms of, that's what it is. That is what the Labour Party is. And they immediately jailed, they busted everyone's door. That same day, 1,000 people were rushed through court. The courts were kept open all night. They were rushed through and jailed for 3 years. For daring to speak up, daring to stand by the side of riots. Or again, anyone who had physical contact with police officers, I have no problem with being jailed. But again, someone who stood on the side, someone who tweeted support, all those people were jailed. Okay? I'm not talking about anyone who actually smashed anything up or punched a police officer. I'm talking about people that did nothing but stand on the side or protest or shout out or type thing. They were jailed for 3 years, and everything became silent straight after that. Then more information started coming out only about a month ago. What was it? Clearly the Southport Stabber was Muslim. Again, they've still not admitted it, right? But he covers his beard, his Muslim beard, every time he's in court, right? And that's the only drawings you can get. He's obviously been told to do that. He wouldn't have thought of that himself. He's being begged to go for a guilty verdict so that this doesn't go through the courts. They are probably giving him the biggest deal you've ever seen to shut him up. I don't know what he's going to get. He might get away with 10 years. I don't know. They're going to give him the sweetest deal to shut him up and let this not go through the courts. And we have found out why. We have found out why they published a picture of him when he was released, who he was, of a sweet little 10-year-old boy with a school uniform, rather than his picture of a real Islamist. We are going to tell you why it was hushed up, that he said Allah Akbar when he stabbed those children. There's witnesses, and that's been shut up. Why the families have not been allowed to speak out? Where are those families? 3 little girls, and they've been silenced. Where are they? Why aren't they protesting? Something has gone on, and we have suspicions of what it is and what Nigel Farage was referring to there. And the question and the answer is this: his parents were black Rwandan Christians brought in by the current Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, on human rights, what's it called, refugee status. The dad was a butcher, butchered many people in Rwanda, and therefore was brought in under, the guy was a butcher, he was a murderer, and was brought in under refugee status. The son converted to Islam and is now a massive Islamist and was found with ISIS books, how to make bomb materials and stuff like that, and basically is a complete huge Muslim, right? Very religious Muslim now. This is all covered up because who brought that family in? Who brought a murderer in, right? And gave him refugee status and stuck him on benefits and made the taxpayer pay for him and his child? It was Keir Starmer. That is the reason why it was hushed up so quickly, and anyone speaking out was jailed. And why we even have a parliamentarian unable to use, he was silenced by the speaker, who's also Labour, who's also Keir Starmer's best mate, not allowed to say any questions under parliamentary privilege, because this guy's got to go. This Prime Minister basically facilitated the murder of children and a terrorist attack. That's essentially what he did. He is the one. You wanted to point the finger, how could this happen? Him. He was the barrister who fought for him to be let into the UK. Him. No one else. Him. That's the reason why this is being covered up. And people should be fuming. People should be going nuts, but you can't, because Britain is a police state. If you did, you're probably going to go to jail for 3 years. You'll see Peter Lynch's mugshot is Peter Lynch, who committed suicide. We don't know the real details, right? Committed suicide in jail after being prosecuted and charged for 3 years, put in jail for 3 years over nothing, over a tweet, over being anti-establishment, put into jail for 3 years, beaten up by the Muslims in prison every day. He couldn't take it. They saying he hung himself. It could very well be true because of the pressure in there. Being for nothing, going to jail and then getting beaten, a grandfather, for what? He kills himself. But Starmer, who facilitated a murderer, who facilitated and covered up for this Islamist, this terrorist, it's a terror attack, who's covered up a terror attack. It's not being thing as a terror attack. It's not being, by the way, prosecuted as a terror attack. Who's covered up for this terrorist. Nothing is going to happen to him. Starmer, who's taken tens of thousands of pounds of bribes from Lord Ali. Starmer, who's Rachel Reeves' Chancellor, lied on her CV. She was a cashier in the Halifax and said she was an economist in the Bank of Scotland that owns the Halifax. This is just blatant lie. It's like me working in McDonald's and saying I was this, managed McDonald's. I worked on the chip fryer. I managed McDonald's. This is insane. This is insane, this government, but no one can protest because Britain is a police state. And if you protest, you will go to jail, right? And you will get prosecuted. And currently I've probably got about 2 months, but until when the Online Safety Act comes in January, made by the Conservatives, by the way, nothing to do with Starmer. All these laws over the Conservatives. Please don't think Starmer's any more evil than they were. They're way worse evil. All these incidents are Conservative laws. So the Conservatives allowed this to happen. And yeah, all this is happening. Both the Uni Party is allowing this to happen in the UK. Children have been murdered and no one can protest. No one can say anything. Murdered based on the actions of the current Prime Minister. Wow. That is where we are. That is where we are.